Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chat. It's the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with cars? I'm Lucas Southworth. I don't know why I made that noise.
And I'm John Bishop.
He is John Bishop. Sorry that I kept going when I shouldn't have. I just didn't know why I made that noise.
And I'm John Bishop.
There you go. He's John Bishop. Yeah, let's look at chat. We're back at it. We're here, folks. And man, are we excited about it.
And I'm John Bishop.
True. John, a week ago and a day, something happened. 2 days, I guess, for the listener. Something happened. What was it?
Well, you see, we got brand new Cars content.
In the loosest sense of the word, yes.
I don't know. It's not official, but it's pretty official.
For some weird reasons that I know you're going to say, yeah, I guess.
All right, so what that thing is that the thing is that the SNL did a host, and the host was Lightning McQueen.
O-Dog himself, people.
Mm-hmm. The Big O.
As I think they called him.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, they did a sketch with Owen Wilson. That was Cars 4, like he was recording for Cars 4.
Mm-hmm. And how'd that go? Was it good?
John, I'm gonna level with you. It was fine. Like pure, genuine thoughts of how funny of a sketch it was. It was fine. Made me like laugh a little bit.
On a scale of, I don't know, Pixar movie ratings, where would you say this sketch rates?
Okay, I'm not gonna fault it for being 4 minutes long because that's the sort of like world it lives in. It's supposed to be 4 minutes long as a sketch.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, better than Planes.
Better than Planes. Which is that a Pixar movie?
No, but it's. I was going off of, I guess, entries into the Carsverse canon. You said Pixar, and I went the other way.
Okay.
And I don't know, on par with Cars 2, which, as we've mentioned only a few episodes ago, is better than most people think it is. Still not good, but it's better. So, like, I don't know, about that level.
Okay.
It's fine. They had one joke. And, like, I understand that's what sketches are. They do a joke, and then they heighten it. But, yeah, it was just one thing. It was a bit too one note for me.
Okay, fair enough. And now, what was that joke, Lucas?
It was that Lightning McQueen sucks. It was that Owen Wilson came into the booth and all the lines were things about Lightning being really creepy to young female cars. And also saying the R slur a few times, which is great.
Okay. So the conceit, not the conceit. The joke was that Lightning McQueen mistreated people in a sexual context as well as a discriminatory context.
It was the beginning of Cars 1, but like heightened.
Yeah, they did our podcast.
Yeah.
They did a 4-minute sketch that was, hey, man, these characters, they have a lot of bad traits. And the main character, He's not a good person.
Well, their joke was that, oh man, Lightning McQueen would never say these things. That's what the joke was for the people who wrote the SNL skit, which is fine. It's a funny enough joke, I guess. But albeit less overtly sexual and less overtly hurtful, he absolutely would at the beginning of the series say all of these things.
And do all of these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, the joke was, haha, what if Lightning McQueen was a creep like all the other people in power right now? Haha. Oh wait. Oh wait.
They gave Mater a sister.
A sister who Lightning McQueen does some inappropriate stuff with.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm gonna be forthright with the listeners, John, because you were forthright with the listeners last time we recorded, and you said that you weren't sure that my idea for an episode would fill an entire episode. I'm not sure that we can do a full episode on this 4 minute sketch, but you wanted to, so you tell me what's the episode today, John? What's our concept?
Now hear me out.
I'm going to.
It could be about the sketch, or it could be about the entire episode of Saturday Night Live.
I mean, I watched the sketch and the monologue when you sent those to me. I didn't watch the rest of it, man.
Fair enough.
I okay. For the actual piece of Cars related media in this SNL episode, do you want to, like, I don't know, because the whole joke was like they were little snippets of lines and he kept being like, what is this about? And they're like, we don't actually know. Do we want to try to piece together the plot of Cars for the Spinout, as they called it? Or do you
Sure.
want to just do whatever it was you said?
Let's go ahead and do the spin out.
Okay.
Okay, Cars for the spin out.
Yeah.
What we've gathered is that Lightning's a creep.
Yeah. He has completely regressed from any character growth back to where he was, worse than where he was, because he is saying things he shouldn't in a children's movie.
Mm-hmm. So one of the jokes, I guess, is that they say, Lightning, I heard that you called me the R word, and the R word was Rusty. But then he goes on to have a line where he calls him the actual R word, but he
Yes.
doesn't say it because, of course, he doesn't, because, yeah. So I would say that if he has grown at all, it's just that he treats Rusty cars slightly better.
Yeah.
Because if you recall in the first movie, he just called cars Rusty and also just very clearly believed Rusty to be a terrible, terrible thing to be.
Yeah. And in the line that Owen Wilson doesn't complete, he is denying calling Mater Rusty.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But then calls him the other thing
yeah. So
for thinking he called him that. Which, if someone gets that defensive and aggressive about having not said something, they probably said it.
yeah, and that's like, again, it's a plot point in Cars One, and I know. Listen, I know that in writing this sketch, the SNL writers didn't watch the Cars movies in preparation. They had an idea and they made it. But like, it is a plot point in Cars One where Lightning goes, I don't want to hang out with a bunch of rusty old cars. And Mater looks hurt and he goes, what's wrong with being a rusty old car? So again, like,
So you're gonna just like slap him a little bit, like, hey, Mater wouldn't be angry that he was called Rusty. He'd be angry that they're implying Rusty's a bad thing.
yes, Mater knows he's rusty, he just doesn't think it's bad.
Yeah.
So maybe next time, SNL writers, you should think before you step into the Cars versus Media game.
Mm-hmm.
I've unraveled your whole universe here.
Yeah, clearly you have no idea what you're talking about,
Yeah, but
even though you got Big O on your side.
they do have Big O, which I doubt we'll ever have Big O on our side. But it seems like the basic plot was Lightning was said at some point, "Of course I'm ready to go back into racing and I'm going to win the Piston Cup." And he was trying to win it to save Radiator Springs.
Which, just to throw this out there, it's no longer called the Piston Cup, so what's up with that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the what? Hudson Hornet Cup?
Well, you can't ask me questions like that because then if I don't answer, then my j- zagging on SNL doesn't work as well.
Your street, it ruins your car's street cred. Your street cred, if you will.
Yep,
Cuz
yep.
cars, streets, you
Mm-hmm.
get it.
My streets cred.
Yes, there you go, John. So another nail in the coffin of SNL sketch, folks. And then it seems like, yeah, he just, if we ignore all of the hitting on underage women bits, uh, he just goes and he wins the Piston Cup. He's successful. And
Mm-hmm.
then he has sex with Mater's sister to stop ignoring the bad stuff. And Mater asks him why, and he goes, "Power!" Which I will say was my favorite moment of the sketch. That did make me laugh.
The image they had for it was so good.
Yeah, it was a good visual gag as well.
Okay, so yeah, Lightning is just a bad dude in this one. He calls someone a jackass and then calls someone else a jerk off. He accidentally says, what's it? Jack off? Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, he says "back off, jack off" on accident, and that was a fun little gaff from the Big O himself.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, back off, jack off, and then a bunch of, oh, grow up. Your sister sure did.
That's a hell of a line.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
eh,
so great, Lightning.
he says, "What college do you go to? You look like you're in high school. Well, you could have fooled me." And which all of these, again, if we're figuring out the plot of Cars 4, the Spinout, seem almost tertiary,
Mm-hmm.
seem almost like just stuff that's gonna happen. But one little bit was he does seem to go in front of a judge at some point, Judge SUV to be specific,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and says, "I've got to win the Piston Cup to save Radiator Springs, and you're not going to let me because of one bad date. This is a witch hunt, Your Honor."
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Seems relevant to the plot of Cars for the Spinout.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to frame this, but it's clear that he does in fact race.
Yeah,
So the rich and the powerful get their way, I guess.
yeah. So it seems like just the plot of Cars 4, the Spinout, is just Cars 1. I know that's been the thesis the whole time.
Except this time it's far more overtly sexual.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
even goes to court, like in
Mm-hmm.
Cars, but instead of destroying a town, it's just he may have destroyed a life. I don't know. It's not abundantly clear
It's
exactly what he's done. It's
yeah.
implied.
It's implied. It's very much implied. It's very implied. Okay, so Lightning McQueen. Turns out he's a monster.
Yes,
Now, why would Owen Wilson agree to voice this?
because they're paying him a lot of money. Disney had a very good year, is what happens at the end. They show him his contract, and he's like, "Let's do this. It's not gonna voice itself."
Okay, so the meta commentary on the meta commentary is that the rich and the famous get away with anything, and even if the rich and the famous want it to happen, the things they can do are make people disagree with things they said seconds ago. So that's something.
Yeah, OW is a sellout, is the message of this one.
Because enough money will make anyone do anything, apparently.
Yeah, that's the long and the short of it. Okay, we've figured out the plot.
hmm
What do you think? I don't know. Reception to Cars 4 the Spinout would be.
What would it be? I think, well, it really does depend, doesn't it? Because if it's done well by Pixar and treated with as much respect as it could possibly have, still bad. Um,
Yeah, horrible. Absolutely.
if it were, uh, I don't know, done terribly by terrible people and treated in the worst way possible, unfortunately, I do think there would be a subsection of people who would absolutely love the movie.
Probably
Be-
is the issue. Yeah.
yeah, be 4chan. 4chan would just adore it.
But they showed us the poster
Mm-hmm.
right at the end. It was called Cars 4 the Spinout, and it featured Lightning McQueen in a car boot, which again, they didn't even have to Photoshop that. That's just a screenshot from Cars 1. You're just making Cars 1 again, SNL. But the fact that he is in the boot and it's called the Spinout seemed to be implying that the movie is saying, hey, these things he's doing are bad and he's being punished for them in some way. Maybe we only saw 10, 12 lines. But the fact that it's not like Cars 4, Lightning's really cool now, uh, seems to be that in this little sub universe of a 4-minute SNL sketch that you made me do an episode of our podcast about, uh, they are saying the movie is saying that Lightning is doing bad things and is a bad person. So maybe there's a third act where Lightning does get his just desserts. Yeah?
Well, here's the problem.
Okay.
They hinge the lifeblood of Radiator Springs on him succeeding. If he doesn't win, Radiator Springs is going down. If he does win, Radiator Springs is saved. So that means that this man being successful, this man not being punished, is specifically the thing that is required for Radiator Springs to survive.
Okay, so maybe it's a very deep, dark movie where, because, we only got Owen Wilson's and a fake Larry the Cable Guy's lines. We didn't see anyone else's reactions to anything. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe Lightning is not the main character of this one, which they've done before. Mater was the main character of 2. Maybe the movie is less about Lightning's downfall and more about the citizens of Radiator Springs making an impossible choice to work with this monster to save their livelihoods. Maybe it's about how far people will go to protect those they love. Maybe it's a deep look at Luigi and Guido and Flo and Ramon and Sally and everyone in Radiator Springs having deep discussions of like, hey, I don't know if we can enable this man, but we need him to save our town, to save our livelihoods and the people we care about. I'd watch that Cars 4.
Would you?
I mean, I would be almost legally required because I run a Cars podcast.
Yeah, but
And they wouldn't make it because, of course, not. Because, of course, not. I'm not in any way saying they would. But in this world that this SNL sketch proposed, I think that could be a way that this movie could work.
okay.
I mean, they're still, ruining their cash cow Lightning McQueen. So it wouldn't happen. It would be received poorly.
See, one thing about the Cars movies, they're there to sell toys.
Yes.
How do we sell toys to this movie?
I mean, I'd buy Lightning in a boot from Cars for the Spinout, just representing that, like, since for my weird diecast collection, that would just represent, hey, why'd they do this to Lightning McQueen? Hey, why'd they make Lightning so awful in Cars 4?
Hey, why is Lightning a monster now?
Yeah. And John, you can't pretend like they didn't introduce a lot of new characters. They introduced Mater's sister,
They
uh,
introduced like
a bunch
uh
of high school girl cars.
Jackass. Wait, what is it? Jackass, Jack off, Jackass. That's his name.
Am I gonna have to censor that, or are you fine with us saying jackass on this?
Well, it means donkey, so
Hell yeah. That's enough permission to me.
it says ass in the Bible.
There we go. They introduced that man and his wife, Judge SUV. I'd get a diecast of Judge SUV. Maybe he comes with his little judge podium. It would be funny to me that his name is just Judge SUV.
What if Judge SUV is corrupt though?
Again, that would be enough. That would be weird enough for me to want a diecast of them, that they've introduced this judge who's on the take in the Cars movie.
Okay, so how many of these new characters are going to be sister of other character? Because I'm saying at least 3.
See, it's he hits on a man's wife, a man's sister, a group of high schoolers, and then Mater's sister. So of the ones we know, 2.
And then another sister. But that's because your sister sure did.
No, yeah, I was counting that one.
Okay.
That was the second one.
That was the second one?
The first one is your sister sure grew up. The second one is Mater's sister
Okay.
for power reasons.
Mm.
John, I think we're ignoring an elephant in the room.
Which one?
Several on purpose that we'll continue to ignore. But
All right. Is this one Sally?
well, no. But that's a good one. We'll come
Okay.
back to that if that's all right with you. I think in our retelling of events, in our opinions on the characters in the Cars verse, there's one character who'd be much more likely to be in this position than Lightning, even though we don't think Lightning is a great guy. That's Mater.
Okay. I thought you were going to say like Chick Hicks or something, but okay.
I mean, how often do we talk about Mater's treatment of women, specifically Mia and Tia?
See, it is something like that, and it is about power for him.
Yeah.
But also, because of his power, he has way too much ability to get out of this situation.
Lightning got out of all the situations in what we saw in the select lines from Cars for the Spinout.
But the thing is, Lightning can't just control reality.
Yeah, but like Mater doesn't just, from what we've seen, like entirely erase stuff.
Mm.
Or
He
he
leaves
makes,
little evidence beats.
yeah, like Mater, quote unquote, gets lucky or just stumbles backwards into like solutions. Similar to like the Jar Jar Binks theory that so many people have about the prequels. That's so fun, where they think Jar Jar is actually a Sith Lord because of how quote unquote lucky he is. That he's actually doing like some advanced things to make himself seem foolish while taking down like an entire battalion of droid troopers in one of the movies and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's the
Like how
same
he's
as
a
Mater.
master of the drunken fist.
Yes,
And
exactly.
also, he does this weird thing where he goes to sleep and mouths the words that seem to be controlling a giant monster or a person who's speaking and saying something weird.
That's Mater, my friends.
Okay, so Mater is in this universe that we're proposing that SNL should have proposed is the monster.
I mean, we we do is say Mater is mad with power and say, "Man, I wish he didn't turn Mia and Tia into dogs that one time, or grab Mia weirdly at the end of El Matador in a way that seemed like he was grabbing her ass." You've opened the floodgates on ass, my friend. I'm gonna say it now. Uh, so yeah, I don't know, man. It again. Cars One Lightning, sure. But if we're going by the movies, Lightning has grown. Mater has not.
We did talk about that, how it seems that Mater has just been consistently the same character every movie.
Yeah. So, obviously, they shouldn't make this movie. We know that. We're not saying they should for so many reasons. But if they did, it should be Mater, not Lightning.
Well, again, I would propose that if we're going strictly based on the movies and what they've already presented, then it would be like Chick Hicks is the monster because you already hate him because he's already obviously terrible.
Oh, yeah. If Pixar were to make it, they should just make a, like, Jackson Storm or someone who's mean it. But if it has to be a protagonist, if it has to be someone that people are already fond of and know a lot about, I think there's more evidence for Mater than Lightning.
Or
Okay.
Ramon.
Ramon, I know you're going to say that he shows his taint to those strangers, and he does. It's not great, John. I can't sit here and tell you that Ramon doesn't show his taint to a couple of strangers. But he never transformed anyone to dogs. And we don't know that he wouldn't do it if he had the abilities. But we do know that Mater would and has.
Okay,
What are we talking about?
but would they put that in a movie?
I don't know. Well, one, no. God, no. Of course not. What are we talking about? No. It wouldn't. It was an SNL sketch. We know they wouldn't put it in a movie.
I just meant the him transforming Mia and Tia into a dog.
Well, they put it in a short that was maybe shown before a movie. I don't know how Mater's Tall Tales was released.
I think it was released either as an extra on a movie or it could be just something they showed on TV.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I saw a few Mater's Tall Tales on TV, like when I was just flipping through like Disney Channel back in the day. So yeah, so yes, they would show it on Disney Channel, so it's fine.
Okay, but they'd show a lot of things on Disney Channel that maybe they shouldn't.
Hey, I'm just, your argument was they wouldn't show it, and they did on a children's.
I said would they put it in a movie?
Okay, you're right. That is what you said.
I don't know why, but they clearly have very different standards for what they'll put on their channel versus what they'll put in a movie that they're releasing in theaters.
That's true,
I can't even just say in a movie because some of the things that are really weird that I've seen were in Disney Channel original movies.
man. Love me a decom. You brought up a good point about Sally. In SNL's version of Cars 4, what do you think's going on with Sally?
I think at first she pretends everything's fine and just tries to help him, and then she has to slowly realize that, oh, this man is a monster. And I think the switching point for her is when it stops being, oh, this is something he has done or this is something he's doing.
I think maybe I think the shift point for Sally could also be when it goes from he's creepy to other men's wives to he's creepy to people's daughters.
Or maybe it's the, uh, oh, you're in high school? Could have fooled me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like that moment, that's hard to come back from. Nor
Mm-hmm.
should anyone come back from it. That's a horrible thing. Yeah, I don't want people to come back from that necessarily.
Now, maybe their weird thing is that their whole motivation is he starts being this big creepo because he and Sally split.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe it could be a potential. reaction to them getting untogether. Because maybe he was just suppressing it. Maybe that's the message we should be taking from it, is maybe Lightning never learned he was just hiding who he truly was to be with Sally.
Maybe it was he was constantly around people who would tell him how he can be a better person, and as soon as he's not around those people, he stops being a better person because he never learned how to be a better person. He just did what they told him, or didn't do things they told him not to do.
Yeah, he's still around Mater, but Mater, if anything, Mater's just an enabler for Lightning. He goes
Hmm.
along with whatever Lightning wants, really.
So much so that he would turn Mia and Tia into dogs for stories together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, do we think that all of this is him regressing specifically from Cars 3?
I
Because Cars 3 is the whole like, oh, you're getting older thing, and midlife crisis is a big thing.
I was gonna say, if it wasn't them splitting, yeah, just being uncomfortable with aging seems right up Lightning's alley. Trying to prove himself in some weird, horrible ways.
Mm-hmm. Which, oh boy, you know, lightning. It's
I
what do
do
you
know.
do?
I do know Lightning. Okay, we talked about where's Sally. Where do you think Cruz Ramirez is? What do you think's going on with her? Because the actual non Lightning's creep plot of this is he goes back to racing and wins the Piston Cup.
Well, uh, I think Cruz Ramirez is the start of this. I think he's got a new
Uh,
young protege that he's gonna be a creep to, and then she's gonna reveal it, and he's gonna be like, "You're just saying that because you're jealous that I'm a better racer than you." And then he's gonna try and prove it, and he's, well, I want to say he's wrong, but he wins.
you know how I think he wins, John?
Does he cheat?
I think he goes full chick kicks.
Oh,
I think he's become what he's hated. I think he
he does some
absolutely.
inappropriate touching.
Oh man, come on. Uh, yeah, he
Yep.
does.
And he does it in front of a huge audience.
Going 200 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yep, he solves his problems by becoming even worse.
Yeah, because I mean, Chick Hicks can say he's won the Piston Cup, and he has.
Mm-hmm. And then he immediately retired.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe. I mean, Lightning's won it, I think, 6 times, is the line in Cars 3. So he doesn't have as much to prove, but he's got to prove something to himself, I guess, in a horrible way.
He's got to prove that he's not an old creep man. He's the fastest there is.
He's a young creep, man. Uh, just like the old days, baby.
And their weird, like, subversion message is, hey, Lightning's a creep man, but you remember that real stinker jerk, uh, Jackson Storm? Well, turns out, despite the fact that he's an arrogant jerk, he's a good guy at heart. And he's the guy who brings down Lightning.
Yes, he has to be toppled, or else I won't be comfortable with where we've left this episode.
So what it is, this is what I'm gonna say, is they reveal that the system is broken and needs fixing, and then someone, Jackson Storm, sees Lightning mistreating all these people and is deeply upset. So he's like, you know what? You're not the fastest because I wasn't in that race. So how about you and me? We race for who gets it at the end, and then Cruz and the everyone else that's like a big racer shows up to race Lightning McQueen, and Lightning does the chick hicks and he hits Cruz and causes a bunch of people to be behind, and somehow he's about to win, and Jackson Storm decides, you know what, I'm gonna do a bad good thing, and he, you know what, just for the fun of it, he pulls a chick hicks and hits Lightning too. So they
Yeah,
both take each other out, And then with that, Jackson Storm's like, well, I'm not able to go fast no more, but I can still help Cruz. And then Cruz is like, no, actually, I'm good. I've recovered. I'm a really good racer. And she finishes the race.
Yeah, maybe it's like maybe Jackson is like people already see me as a bad guy, so there's no harm to my reputation if I lean into that, and I'm the one. Maybe he and Cruz are like one of us has to take him out, and Jackson says, "No, my reputation is already what it is. Yours won't recover if you do this." So he does it for her. Maybe it's almost like a Wicked story where we're seeing it from the villain's perspective,
Mm.
and it's retold, and we see what's really going on.
And the reason they keep saying things like, oh, we have to do this or we have to take him out is because, he's going full villain. So what does he do? He acquires property and starts telling other people they aren't allowed to race. So other racers that are competition for him, he takes out. So he's like the villain in Cars 3. uh, Cars 2, he gets with Sir Miles Axelrod, and he's like, hey, I need your fuel so that I can force people to have this fuel and then get it blown up. So he just starts blowing up racers who are about to win. And Jackson Storm makes a big deal of, hey, I'm going to take this fuel and I'm going to get in this race, but I'm going to take Lightning down.
He makes sure that he's right on Lightning when the camera microwave blows him up, so Lightning gets caught in the blast with him. Everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. They were both pretty bad people. Okay,
Yep.
sure. Hey, Cruz, that's cool. She was cool the whole time.
Yep.
We could just have Finn McMissile come in and McMissile him. Just for fun. We're getting wild with this. The ending of the movie is Lightning McQueen gets blown up by Finn McMissile. And everyone's like, ah, cool. He was a creep.
Okay,
That's
so
fine.
here's what it is. They do everything in the book to keep Cruz from winning, and she's been like blown up and she's still struggling to get to the finish line. They've like blown up her tires. They've done all these things. And then Lightning is going to like try and win. So Jackson gets right next to him when he blows up, so it kind of blows up Lightning and Lightning's still like going. And then Mater decides to hook on to him so that he can't go as fast, and so he's not like doing as well because he's been cheating this whole time. He's like, you can't do this, like this is wrong. And then just like everyone teams up to just blow up Lightning in some sort of way. And then right at the end, he wasn't blown up enough. So like he's lost the race and he's like, how dare you? I won't stand for this. This race is nothing. It's null and void. And then lightning actually strikes him.
Yes. That's pretty good. One small revision. Not even a revision, an addition. When Jackson blows up and blows up right to the side of Lightning, I would love a sort of Harvey Two Face effect on Lightning, or maybe even like a Terminator half face off kind of deal where you see his grotesque inner workings, which is what's under there for all the cars, but it looks very scary, and that would be a fun villainous look for Lightning McHorrible. Maybe what they recorded was just the first 10 minutes of the movie, you know? Because why would they wouldn't just jump around. They might. I don't know how voice recording works, but let's say they wouldn't just jump around. So maybe this is the setup for the plot to get back at Lightning McQueen. And I'd be into
Okay.
that.
Okay. So you've got me imagining. So the first 10 minutes are him spiraling downward. And then he does all these evil things. And let's say that him getting blown to smithereens is still in the first third.
Yes.
And then he actually becomes some sort of Terminator-esque monster. Where do we go from there?
All right. Okay. I don't want to give him his lightning god powers from Tokyo Mater. That would help us a lot, though, for this supervillain angle we're taking him on. Should we give him his lightning god powers from Tokyo Mater?
Okay, we established that he had the lightning god powers, but Mater has to fight him because he can't take them back for some reason. And
Mm.
then there's just this weird showdown where they reveal that yes, Mater has strange super cosmic powers.
Okay, a culmination of all the tall tales. I love this. Maybe okay. Maybe Lightning's been driven mad by the tall tales. Maybe that's why he's horrible now.
Hmm.
So we can even sort of couch that a little bit and
It
feel
starts off as a tall tale, and he realizes it's a tall tale, so he thinks I can do anything with no consequences.
there we go. Which still you shouldn't do those things even with no consequences, Lightning. But I don't know. Makes me feel a tiny bit better. And okay, the issue is that yeah, Mater can't get back the lightning god powers because he used his god powers to make lightning unto a god.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're just on an even playing field now, and we can see Mater travel through time to try to stop him, fly like the UFOs, do monster truck stuff, do cool jumps like in Mater the Greater. It'd be an action classic akin to an MCU movie.
Okay, okay. The villain and hero from MCU have to be the same.
Yeah.
Um, how are we gonna do the typical big gray monster fight at the end? Is that after he's ascended, been blown up, and then rebuilt into this strange Terminator monster with lightning god powers?
I mean, yeah, sounds like you nailed it, man.
Okay, so he becomes the Two-Face, and then he becomes the big old monster. Do we want him to be turned into an actual monster truck?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So he's an actual monster truck. I feel like we have to do that as he somehow betrays Luigi and Guido to get the best tires from them.
Okay, maybe he gets. Let's just throw in all the weird lore we can that we know about the Cars verse. He gets the giant flying tires from that one ride that no longer exists in Disneyland
Mm.
that are
And
big enough for people to sit in.
the only reason he gets those tires is because he finds the manufacturer, which is the group of humans that are underground, and he forces them to make him more powerful.
Maybe there's a scene where, in an attempt to stop him, maybe they send an army of specially trained Roombas after him, since those are genetic military experiments.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he does that. Um, they intentionally start a controlled fire to like burn him out of his hiding spot, which means we can get in the good great cast of Planes Fire and Rescue.
The Piston Peak Rescue Squad. If you think there's a single thing that slipped out of my mind, you're
and
wrong, folks.
and you know what?
uh,
You know who helps to turn him? Okay, so the manufacturer helps turn him into a monster. You know who helps turn Mater into a monster capable of defeating him?
I mean, you know Maru's gonna make him better than new.
He's gonna make him better than new. Okay, so
Dusty
you've got
Crop
him.
Hopper's there because Dusty Crop Hopper can do anything, as we've established.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, Dusty Crophopper is the person who actually takes Lightning McQueen down in the end.
Perfect. He
Uh,
shows up for just that, just so he can get the credit for it.
he shows up. We find out that he's been struggling really hard because he found out that he can ascend to Super Saiyan if he goes high enough, but he's just too afraid to go too high. but also something about him being afraid of fire. So he has to go really high and light himself on fire, and then he becomes a Super Saiyan. And you find this out right at the end before he takes down Lightning McQueen.
I like. I want that information to be in the like supplementary novel or something, so
Mhm.
that all that the people see is streaming in from the upper atmosphere, fully ablaze, Dusty Crop Hopper for about 8 seconds, who just rams into Lightning McQueen's the top of Lightning McQueen and takes them both out in a fiery explosion. And people, so then people will get to go, was that Dusty Crop Hopper? Was that established? Was that hinted at or anything? That Dust. Why was
Okay.
he up? Why was he in space?
Okay, so we only learned that from the other movie, which is, of course, uh, what is it? Space? Just space?
Yes, the canceled space spinoff. That's the space spinoff. Is Dusty Crop Hopper has to go to space. He doesn't even
And
have to set himself on fire. He'll just burn up on re-entry.
mm-hmm. And it's even better because he pulls a Captain Marvel and is just in space until the next movie, which is an Infinity War, I guess.
Yeah. I think we've saved their pitch. I think SNL was really trying to pitch a movie there. They treated it like a comedy because they were embarrassed, but they were like, "Is this anything?" And no, it wasn't. But we saved it.
We turned their nothing into something.
I mean, you can't deny the words we've said are something.
Mm-hmm. And if you were to make that into a movie, that would be a movie.
And again, I'd watch it. Like,
We both watched that movie.
especially in this our current timeline in which I do a Cars podcast, but also if you just told me like, yeah, they're doing the Cars movie and I think Lightning becomes unto a god and is the villain, I'd be like, I would say stop talking right now. We're going to the Cinemark.
And also, there are humans in it. And
I said don't stop it. I need to experience this through the medium of film. If you tell me one more thing, I'll scream.
okay, but I'm pretty sure Dusty Crophopper goes Super Saiyan.
I wouldn't even know who Dusty Crop Hopper was in this. I would probably guess he's the protagonist of Planes, but like in this potential universe where the Kachat was never started, I wouldn't know anything about him at the very least. So I maybe just would say, well, that could have happened in Planes or Planes too, for all I know.
Oh boy.
John, I don't think we're gonna say anything better than the things we've already said.
Oh yeah? Was that a challenge?
I mean, no, but you can take it as one if you feel so led.
Um uh we got to include more stuff. Um so
Easter Buggy's there.
Easter Buggy's
He's
there.
it's like the Howard the Duck cameo in Endgame. He's just sort of in the background. You're like, ah, that car's a rabbit. Okay, there's a lot going on. I can't really focus on that for too long.
Okay. So can we do something with headlights?
Oh, we got to get Celine in there. I think Celine just takes out people's headlights is in the battle. It's become cars for the Spinout end game. Is how I'm imagining it. I'm
Okay.
just imagining the end game battle with cars.
So she's taken out people's eyes for a reason. And is she a good guy or a bad guy?
I think she's doing it indiscriminately. I think she's just kind of there, uh, going against everyone, and everyone is on all sides. It's just sort of like clearing the way around her. Like, okay, I don't know what's going on with her, but you
Unlike
can't be near her.
unlike a J Limo special, it's talking about a crazy new thing that's happening in the news, and it's this strange serial killer who goes around stealing people's headlights.
And then the vampires show up,
Hmm.
and they're immediately defeated by lightning. But they're there.
No, they side with lightning.
Hey, there we go. That's cool.
Okay, so Van Helsing, is he in the movie? Is he the leader of the
He,
manufacturer?
yeah, he's the leader of the manufacturer. You're absolutely right.
Okay, okay. So, do we want Lightning to actually do a Godzilla breath, or is that going to be like just begging for someone to sue us?
I mean, at this point, we might as well. We've included the vampires,
Mm-hmm.
so
I feel like we could afford the vampires, though.
you're absolutely right. I don't. They may have just fully let their copyright lapse at this point, but yeah, I like the idea of them doing a Godzilla. And just include the iconic sound effect. Also, just make it explicit, and then King Kong shows up. I don't know, man. It's Kong versus Godzilla versus Lightning.
Except Godzilla's not in it. But
Yeah,
we do say versus Godzilla versus Lightning.
cool. We've done it. We've made the perfect movie. You want to do a short episode this week?
Do you want to do a short episode this week?
We based it off a 5 minute SNL sketch, so we can do a, I don't know, 50-minute episode, you know?
All right, fair enough.
10 minutes for every minute they did. Maybe more. Who knows what I've edited? Maybe I haven't edited it at all. I sure hope I did, but maybe I
Yeah.
didn't.
Okay.
Maybe future Lucas didn't. We're doing all of the inside jokes and lore in this episode, so I've got to say that one. I didn't even do a wiki quote, or you didn't do any fun facts. We didn't even do questions from Liz, but that's fine.
Fun fact of the day:
We didn't do any of our segments.
SNL had Owen Wilson as the host a little bit ago.
Question from Liz: Why? What are you talking about? Uh, wiki quote. It's on there. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We sure do appreciate it. I think both of us are kind of tired this week. I know I am. And I know we say this literally every week, but we are. It's tiring to be a human sometimes. I don't know where I'm going with this. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to send us ideas, as I often say, clearly we need them. So you could do that at our email, which is thekachat@gmail.com, or on Twitter, which is @thekachat. Also, give us a follow while you're there. Now, John's going to say his stuff that he says at this part of the episode.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. Tell anyone and everyone you think might be the least bit interested in this kooky, quirky, strange little podcast. It's actually not little. It's very big. Over 100 hours. That can be daunting. You don't have to listen to every episode. And until next time, remember to float like a Cadillac.
And sting like a beamer.
Ka-chow.
They sure did love it when he said ka-chow. I got a kick out of that in the SNL.
Yeah.
It wasn't even that much of a joke. I just kind of thought it was funny that they were so excited when he said ka-chow.
Yeah. I was excited when I heard him say ka-chow.
Honest to God, yeah. Anyway, bye.
Bye.